It's pozole time. Or should I keep going? Or no?
Still rolling.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I was in the black hole. This is pozole. It is the name of this particular type of corn. It takes many forms. The main three types of pozole are red, green, and white, like the Mexican flag. But this is what pozole is. It is a Mexican stew thickened with chilies and always with pozole, the corn, in it. So this recipe is actually Chris Morocco's recipe. He and I share a deep love of pozole. Is he even here? No. We talked about it and how much he loved it and the deep flavor, and I think that's what eventually led to the inspiration for this dish. This is actually kind of fun. So I'm going to start with onion and garlic. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to make the broth. So in this version, this is not the quick version. This is a whole chicken simmered in some aromatics. You can make a really flavorful broth. Take it off the bone. Roast some veg. I really like this a lot. He went through several iterations of this dish and developed some really nice flavor. There's actually kind of oh, Morocco.
Oh, hey.
Hi, I was talking
ready
about
for my pupusa now.
Oh, yeah.
Different video?
Different video. And then this garlic we're just going to slice up. In Mexico, there are places like soup shops. They're called pozolerias. And the way that it's served, it's almost like getting banchan. There are like all these little bowls, probably like 20 different things. And it's herbs, dried chili, cabbage. And so people, will order a bowl of pozole and then they just sort of, create their own based on their flavor, how they're feeling. Now, we're going to go give this a little saute. So I've got a big wide pot here. 4 tablespoons of olive oil. I don't want to get any color on this. This is a Pozole Verde, and so we just want to sweat the veg, but we're not really looking for caramelization. I'm going to start it up on high just to get it heated up, and then I'll put it back down to medium. I'm going to season this nicely. That'll pull out some of the sugars and the juices in the onion. So I'm going to let this go for about 10 minutes. I'll give it a stir occasionally, but we're going to go work on the roasted veg. And we're back. So part of this dish, to really give it a lot of flavor, we're going to roast the vegetables. So what we have here are all green, because it's pozole verde. We've got some beautiful tomatillos. We have some poblanos, some cubanelle, and some serranos. I really love this flavor combination a lot. So, not going to do anything with this. We are going to put them directly into a hot oven. This is 425 degrees. So we're going to put those in there for about 30-40 minutes. They're going to get puffy. The skin is going to separate a little bit, and we want some nice charring on there to caramelize all those flavors. I'm going to give this a little stir. This is what you want to see. You want to see movement. You want to see the steam coming up, but we don't want any browning. Just concentrating flavors, bringing out that sugar. Sugar man. Okay, Tommy, we're about to drop the chicken. Okay, so these are looking good. We've got a little bit of golden color in there, but that's fine. They're softened nicely. The garlic is tame. So now we are going to add cumin and Mexican oregano. So Mexican oregano is a little bit more floral, a little bit lighter and less bitter than Italian and Greek oregano. And then we're using ground coriander. We're going to give this a little bit of a toast in here. So I'm going to coat the onions. It's really, really aromatic now. We don't need to cook this too long, maybe about a minute. Now I'm going to drop this chicken. I'm going to use my hand. Plus it's just more fun to pick it up and put it in. Nestle it in. And then I'm adding water to the pot. We're creating a broth by using the whole chicken and the aromatics, and that will obviously give us a lot of flavor for the pozole. Okay, so now this is our cooked chicken. We pulled it out. It's cooled slightly so it's able to be handled. And so what I'm going to do... God, it's like... Gabby, I'm trying to peel a chicken here.
You want me to go down there?
Oh, yeah, that's exactly what we all need. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the skin off the chicken. You just want to shred this into bite-sized pieces.
Can you say I'm shredding the entire chicken?
Yes, I'm shredding the entire chicken. All right, so the peppers and the tomatillos have cooled, and I'm going to seed and stem them. You do want to make sure you get the stem, and then they split open really easily. Wipe out the stems, or the seeds. All right. What is he doing?
And he's preening. Checking out my reflection in the damn rain.
The pozole rojo is typically probably the hottest, maybe the spiciest version of them, and the green is a little bit brighter because you have the green chilies. But then, depending on what you add to garnish, the flavor profile will change. Okay, so my beef with the steppiness. I don't mind a steppy recipe if the payoff is big, but like when you make something that takes a long time, that has a lot of really involved steps, and you take a bite and you're like, the is this? Like, why did I spend all day making this thing if this is what I get? But yeah, in general, I'm not a big fan of stuffy recipes unless the payoff is really big. So we're gonna puree all of this. Just throw in all the peeled and seeded. Oh, I forgot one serrano. All right, sorry, whoever doesn't like heat. All right, start on low. And now we are going to add this to our simmering broth. So this is the broth that we cooked the chicken in. We left the onions and garlic. I'm just gonna let this come back up to a simmer. We're gonna let it go for about 20 minutes, just for the flavors to come together. The vegetables are already roasted and pureed, and obviously the aromatics with the chicken are already cooked, but the flavors just need to come together So this is one of the tips that I gave Morocco. This stems from a deep hatred of the flavor of cans. I find that hominy, both golden and white, it just has a really strong taste of the can. So what I like to do is I actually like to toast it. When you toast it, it actually somehow revives the corn flavor within it. So you're concentrating the flavor, and so it has this really nice toasted corn flavor, almost like a corn nut. So I'm just going to spread these out on a sheet tray. Make sure you get a nice even layer, and we are going to throw these in a hot oven. 425 for 12 to 18 minutes. It smells so good. It smells like toasted corn. It's really nice. It's lost a little bit of its size, but when we put it back in the broth, it'll absorb that sauce. It's lost its flavor of the can. It actually tastes like corn, and I feel like the texture is going to be a little better. And this is just going to go straight into the pot. All right, great. Pozole is serious business. Okay, it is almost done. There are a few finishing touches. This I actually think is a really, really clever thing that Morocco did. Normally, you would just serve on top of the pozole, but Mr. Morocco is a bit of a monster, and he purees them into it. So I just took out half a cup of the stock. I'm going to add the chicken in. It's pretty cool at this point, so the only thing that I want to do, because it's already cooked, I just want to heat it through. So while we puree the cilantro, I'm going to let that heat up. All right, our hot broth goes in. I have some cilantro leaves and tender stems. The other thing that this does that is very brilliant, in addition to adding the flavor, is it's adding a really nice green color. We're going to add this in. The pozole is already reconstituted. All the veg are already cooked. The flavors have come together. And then when we add the puree, just like magic, it's going to assume this really, really nice, more vibrant green color. That is definitely a Morocco wizard move. It's really good. Yep. Perfecto. As I said, in Mexico, when you go to a pozoleria, it's all about the accompaniments, and usually there are like 10 to 15 different things that you can choose from, different salsas and toppings. These are just a few. I'm throwing in, this isn't in the recipe, but I like a little bit of crunch in mine, so Andy had some tostadas over at his station, so I kind of stole them. Also lime wedges, and then you might also have a little bit more dried oregano. But it's really about, it's about your personal preference. But it's really fun when you go to a pozoleria or you're throwing a pozole party to just have all of these different things so people can kind of build your own pozole. And the color is really beautiful. Going to add some red onion. I'm going to put in some corn chips because I like crunch. And then a squeeze of lime.
Cool.
So when you do actually make this, make sure that you freeze a quart in reserve for emergencies, for that hangover that you really, really feel horrible. Just pull it out, defrost it. This is definitely the cure for a hangover.
Thank you so much, Rick. I'm like much revived.
You look much better.
All
You're
it took
pretty
was
hangry.
an egg sandwich, some SpaghettiOs, and a big bowl of pozole.